And we are now joined by Hillel Fuld, culture critic and Jewish activist, joining us from Beit Shemesh in the Jerusalem district. Hillel, thanks for being with us. I don't want to be too snarky here, but I just feel the need to mention that this is Canada's government, the same one that recently had a standing ovation for a member of the Nazi Waffen-SS. That the same government that a day after pro-Hamas demonstrators in Toronto threatened to kill people, Canada's finance minister hosts an event to discuss Islamophobia. What's going on in Canada and the rest of the Western world right now?
It's a moral decay. It's a moral decay, and it's the disintegration of all morality in Western civilization. This is not something that, started yesterday. We've been seeing this as a process for decades. And when you teach your society not to use critical thinking and to call, someone by whatever they want to be called at, and if I identify as a dog, then you tell a person, don't use your critical thinking. Don't understand that everything you see in front of you is actually truth and facts. No, there's no truth in the world. And then you come to a war where there's clear distinction between good and evil, but we already told the world you don't need to use critical thinking anymore. And so, everything goes. It's absolute disintegration of morality. There's no other way to explain it.
When we look at the situation right here, what sort of message is this sending to the Western world, the Western leaders? And on the flip side, what message is this sending to people like Hamas, the non-Western world, the people that would love to see nothing more than the collapse of the current order?
You can't make this stuff up. I mean, it's truly hard to believe hearing Hamas, a known terrorist who literally the same man declared that they're going to keep doing the same thing that they did on October 7th over and over and over again. That same man is thanking Western governments. I mean, it's show me who your friends are and I'll show you who you are. I mean, these governments should be ashamed of themselves. If Hamas is thanking them publicly, then they're on the wrong side of history. Unfortunately, like I said, there's no morality left, and people don't see the truth anymore, even though it's right in front of their faces. I don't know, on October 8th, as an optimistic person, I said to myself, well, at least now, the silver lining at least is that the world will unequivocally stand with Israel, because how could you not? And here we are just 2 months later, and it's truly, on the one hand, hard to believe. On the other hand, it's not too hard to believe if you've been paying attention.
It actually doesn't fill many of us with confidence, especially knowing that we're simply days away, possibly even less, from the UN Security Council resolution that is going to be backing up this call for a ceasefire or not. Where do you think this is going to go?
I mean, again, the UN, listen, they just finished their annual resolutions, right, for 2023. 14 resolutions against Israel, 7 resolutions against the rest of the world combined. So, does the UN, is there any relevance there? Does anybody have any debate about the fact that the UN is the most immoral body? I mean, from my perspective, they did one thing good in their history, and that is declare the independence of the state of Israel. And so I don't think anybody takes the UN seriously anymore, and they've done that to themselves. Let them call for anything they want to call for. Israel is not stopping, no matter what, until we achieve our objectives, which is obviously the destruction, complete obliteration of Hamas and the return of our hostages. Nothing is going to stop us. And the UN could say whatever they want. It won't change anything.
When you see this level of support in the West for terror organizations, and the fact that you see these terror organizations thanking Western governments, as a Jewish activist, do you feel there's even a future left for Jews in the Western world at this point?
Oh, man, now we're opening a can of worms. I mean, listen, I've thought that the Western world is not home, for Jews for a very long time. I think this is maybe the final straw that broke the camel's back. But, when I grew up asking myself, how did the German Jews not see the writing on the wall? Well, how are the American Jews or the European Jews not seeing the writing on the wall right now? What has to happen? I say to my friends in the States, is there any event? I mean, if there are anti-Semites in Congress and Jews are being beaten in the streets and NBA players wearing keffiyehs and pop stars declaring their love for Hitler, what on earth has to happen for you to get on a plane? Unless you're going to tell me that you're so comfortable there that even if someone holds a gun to your head, you're not getting on a plane. Okay, in that case, then at least own that. But the reality is that, it's clear as day to anyone paying attention that, there's only one place today where Jews can feel safe, and that is in Israel. Despite what we've been through, and I'm not belittling that, but at the end of the day, we protect ourselves here. We define our strategy. We decide how we retaliate versus being at the mercy of some random government. We've seen how that's gone throughout our history. So people have to open a history book and realize that the script is already written, and America's just another empire, that's going to turn against the Jews, just like the Greek Empire, the Roman Empire, the Egyptian Empire, the Nazi Empire. It's the same script. Now, I don't think there's going to be concentration camps in the United States, but the reality is I give it a few weeks, max 2 months, before Biden completely turns against Israel and demands that we cease fire, at which point I want to believe and I want to hope that our leaders will respectfully decline that offer and that demand, and then that relationship that we've had for so long with the United States disintegrates. And on the one hand, I don't obviously want that to happen, but the script is written. It keeps repeating itself over and over in every generation.
If the script is written, is there even a point to trying to win hearts and minds back in the Western world?
I mean, the point, we're not going to outnumber our enemies. We're not going to, if you're looking at the numbers game, we're never going to win that game. But the reality is that we are a people of compassion, a people of truth. And in our world, there still is a need, there still is a virtue of truth. It's important. And, the Western world has thrown that out the window. Truth doesn't matter anymore. To us, it does. And so we have to speak the truth, whether or not people are listening. And there are people listening. The internet, I like to categorize into three people. It's our people, right, who don't need convincing. It's the other group that won't be convinced no matter what you say to them. And then I think it's the majority, which is the middle. They're less vocal, they're less loud, but they are people of integrity who are willing to listen and willing to learn and maybe even willing to admit their mistakes. But that other group, that third group, you could show them facts till you're blue in the face. They just won't change their narrative because that's what
Absolutely.
they believe in. It is the modern mask of anti-Semitism. In every generation, it changes masks. Today's mask is anti-Zionism, but
and now
the same
it's back.
age-old
Hillel,
hatred
as
of Jews.
you've